Welcome to Alyvix. This is a concept video that proposes one way that Alyvix Server might be integrated within NetEye 4. When you log into your NetEye installation, wouldn't it be great if all your Alyvix data and settings were immediately available at your fingertips without having to ever leave NetEye? Let's start with NetEye's dashboard to see how this integration can make things easier. Alyvix lets you monitor the availability and responsiveness of applications, and each individual Alyvix test case is shown as a separate service within NetEye. So suppose we see a monitored Alyvix service that's critical, like the service here called generic Alyvix 3. As with all services in NetEye, we can click on the Details panel to get more in-depth information. Once the Detail panel appears, we can explore the problem with the full array of NetEye's tools. Let's take the opportunity now, though, to see how easy it is to configure the specific Alyvix server instance which monitors that application. From the Alyvix Servers tab in the Configuration section, you can view which servers have been set up, where they're located, and how active they are. Just a click on a server name to modify or delete it. Global parameters such as the private key and retention periods for test case results and logs are also here. From the configuration page, you can also add, edit, or remove sessions, which are groups of test cases that are monitored on a particular machine and user account. You can set up test cases you've created with Alyvix and configure any parameters needed to customize how they run and what information they save. Test case files can be assigned to multiple sessions either identically or with specialized arguments that are applied to some sessions but not to others. Once the sessions and Alyvix test cases have been defined, NetEye will begin to actively monitor your applications by running those test cases at set intervals on the target machines. The resulting data is then collected and recorded so you can explore it or set notifications and alerts. The last configuration panel lets you check Alyvix license expirations so you can update them as needed. The raw data produced by Alyvix test cases can be explored by switching to the Measurements tab and browsing the individual fields displayed in their native JSON format. You can also add and view log messages that serve as annotations to the data. The analysis links let you explore Alyvix data collected by test cases over long time periods. This includes interactive graphs showing the availability and responsiveness of your application, both as a whole and across individual tasks within the application. Because Alyvix Server is integrated with NetEye, you can use all the power and features of Grafana. Going back, the Detail panel also shows graphs of individual Alyvix measures over recent history. These are less interactive than the full-scale Grafana interface, but they also load much more quickly. Now let's turn to the technical details underlying the Alyvix-NetEye integration. The Alyvix Server API is RESTful with a defined set of endpoints, allowing data to be sent and received via HTTPS. Let's look at each one of these endpoints in turn. Each Alyvix server has its own address, and NetEye keeps track of both them and their endpoints. The Add action brings up a panel where a new server can be added, while clicking on the name of an existing server allows its parameters to be modified. Global configurations for all Alyvix server instances and sessions can be changed by users with the appropriate permissions, as well as being set and retrieved through the endpoint shown. These settings include the private key, how many days to retain successful test case results, failed test case results, and event annotation logs. The session settings describe how Alyvix Server should connect to a Windows machine when it runs a session's test cases on that machine, along with the graphics parameters it should use. It also passes arguments that control when and how often test cases should be run. This set of endpoints allows you to manage the actual Alyvix test case files that NetEye uses before it can display or configure the test cases. The next two endpoints let you retrieve file information and parameters of a set of Alyvix test case files, including runtime parameters specific to each individual test case, in order to populate a table where NetEye administrators can then view them. Importantly, this includes the unique ID for each test case, which is used to distinguish test cases from each other. Alyvix test cases can then be added, modified, or deleted by using the endpoints with writable actions. This put method is used to reorder the test cases globally across all sessions and machines. The post method allows you to add a new test case with the desired parameters, and then returns a unique ID so you can then reference it. You can then modify or delete them using that ID. The license endpoints provide access to reading or writing individual license certificates, as well as reading the status of all known licenses so they can be displayed in a table within NetEye. The Measurements API returns a JSON structure holding all recorded values of a given Alyvix test case run at a particular time. The Measurements tab lets you easily locate settings and results, for instance to confirm that Alyvix is running under the correct parameters. Logging annotations can be retrieved with the log endpoint, while a new log annotation can be added by posting a text string entered by the user or generated by the system to that same endpoint. This concludes the Alyvix-NetEye Integration concept video and API explanations. Please let us here at Alyvix know if we can clarify any of the concepts presented.